Hey everybody, in this video what I want to do is just show you a little bit about working with the AI agent in Dremio. Okay, so you see here that there is the Dremio AI agent built right in. So right here on the home screen you have this screen where you can begin asking a question. So like the simplest question you can ask is, what data sets do I have available to me? Now keep in mind, when the AI agent is doing its job, it's doing it in the context of the user who is using it. So in this case, I'm an admin user, so I'm going to be able to see all the data sets. But if you are a user who doesn't have access to the data sets, it won't show you, it will only show you what you have access to. So essentially the AI agent has the same level of permissions as the user who is using it. So it's secure, is my point. But you can see here, you can see transparently what the AI agent is doing. So you can see exactly what tool calls it's making. In this case, making a tool call in order to grab the schema of the data sets, and see now it's giving me a list of all the available data sets that I have in my Dremio environment, which you can kind of see here. And then it even kind of gives me little descriptions, that it'll infer some descriptions of what it thinks they are. Okay, and basically it gives me some context over sort of what I have in Dremio. So that's one cool use case for using Dremio. Now in this case, I might do something like, hey, what would be, so in this case we have this like gold, silver account right here. So I'll ask a question saying, hey, what would be a good metric to visualize on my financial or on my Dremio.finance data? Okay, and we'll let it, it's going to now explore specifically like that data, what the schemas of those data sets are, and then come up to me with some suggestions being like, hey, these would be good metrics on that. And this is just a great way for, like, again, business users to explore what kind of metrics may be useful, also to kind of get some basic visualizations before they commit to building a BI dashboard. So instead of building a full-on dashboard and then it turning out, hey, this is not exactly the visualization we needed, and then having to kind of start over again and whatnot, you can kind of do test runs of what your visualizations can look like in here. And then, you know, if you want to have that particular visualization be something that's like long-standing where people can access it, then you can then use a traditional BI tool to create a dashboard that's shareable. And Dremio already has integrations with pretty much most BI tools and built-in integrations with like Tableau and Power BI, where literally at a push of a button, you can take any data set and put that into Power BI and Tableau. Okay, so let's see here. What does it recommend me? Good metrics to visualize. Okay, daily traded volume, why? Was liquidity. Instead, it'll tell me exactly what I want. Okay, so it'll be like, hey, you can do daily traded volume. And what you would do is you would do a line chart. Okay, so let's try that. Okay, let's just, you know, instead of reading through all of these, we'll just do exactly what it says. Okay, can you make me a line chart on daily traded volume, which is going to be pretty basic because, again, there's not much data. Like the sample data really is only a few records, but let's watch it do its thing. Okay, and again, this is all interacting with my data. And again, it's not just the data in my Dremio catalog. It has the visibility of all the data that I have connected to Dremio that my user has permissions to, and so forth. So you can see here. Okay, if you confirm, I will, and it's asking me to confirm to do it. Run a validated SQL query to produce the aggregated daily series values. Okay, I'll just write I confirm. Okay, so that way it'll just go forth and do that. But let's go, I'll leave the output over here so that way you can kind of be a little bit more what it said. But the idea is that if you already knew what metrics you wanted, you can kind of skip a few of these steps and just say, hey, generate me a line chart or a bar chart on this information. But as you can see here, if I'm not even sure what I'm necessarily looking for, I can ask it for suggestions. Again, the idea of, imagine a business user who has data and isn't 100% sure what to do with it, can use this AI agent, use this experience to kind of really help it maybe kind of figure out, hey, what are the right questions to ask? Like, hey, you know, ask probably more detailed prompts about like sort of what is it trying to figure out, and then see what it recommends. And you can see, hey, look, I got a visualization right here built into my UI experience. And I didn't have to go to a BI tool to get this visualization. So for basic use cases, I can go screen test this, put this into like a PowerPoint slide for a presentation if I just need a quick visualization for a presentation. And then on top of it, I can actually see the query that got me the data for this by clicking on this tab right here. Okay, so that way I can make sure that, hey, does this query make sense for what I was asking? and then I can take a look at the table of data that it is producing it from. Okay, and take a look and say, hey, does this all make sense to me? So, okay, you don't have to just take it for granted that what the AI agent says is or visualizes is what it actually is. Okay, so these are some cool ways you can use the Dremio AI agent, or even when you're editing queries. So like, let's say, hey, I'm doing a query here, okay, and I'm sure I go to the SQL editor, and I'm writing a query. Let's say, like, let me just take that out of the way so it's not there. If I need to bring up the AI agent, I can just click the AI agent symbol. Anytime you see the little AI agent symbol, you can click on it and do AI things. I can click on that, and that's going to bring it up there, and I can see my current chat there. Okay, I can clear the chat if I want to just kind of start from scratch. But then I can keep asking it questions, and then it also has a context of sort of what I'm currently editing in the editor. So I can say, hey, can you update my current query for this purpose? I also like using it for generating like wiki context. So I can say something like, generate me markdown for this wiki. Like, for example, let's just actually just do that. So let me go to our finance gold. Okay, so we already generated a wiki for this earlier in one of the previous videos. So see, it has like some basic wiki information. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to go over here and actually what I want to do is query this view from here. So I'm going to go over here. Actually just close down some of these tabs, discard, and again, so you can actually save these tabs as scripts. So if any of them you wanted to save, you can do that. I just want to clean out a few of them just so that it's not too cluttered. Okay, so now I'll create a new tab. Click this little plus button right over here. Okay, and I'm just going to do a select star from, and then we'll just drop that data set in there. Finance, gold. Okay. Cool. Okay, now what I can do here is I can go open up the AI and say, hey, or actually I don't even need the whole query, just the name. Can you write me markdown documentation? Actually, can you write me documentation for the data set that includes the schema, a description, and potential uses of this data set? Okay, give me the output as a markdown code block. Okay, and I'll let it generate that, but then I can just copy that markdown code block and just put it right into the wiki. Okay, this just makes it really easy for me to get even more detailed, because again, I can AI generate at the button, AI generate a wiki, but again, it's just going to do that sort of basic setup. Here I can actually sit there and give a prompt that says, hey, I want these extra things, and give it to me as markdown, and I can generate even an even deeper wiki and deeper documentation for my data sets. And again, all that's really useful because, again, all that semantic layer stuff gets pulled into the AI agent when it's kind of working around your data. So the more documentation you can sort of curate, the better this is going to be able to kind of like get to answer. So see, but here's my markdown. I can just click the little copy button to copy all this information. Okay. But as usual, if you ever use ChatGPT, you've probably had this issue where basically, once there's like code blocks within the code block, it breaks. So you see like the rest of it isn't a markdown code block. So then I get to do this. So I'll copy that. It's just a limitation of the way markdown parsers work. Again, you see the same thing when you use like ChatGPT's native UI. But let me go back to that data set. Close that. Open this up. Okay. Run that. Oh, that's because I have that highlighted. Oop, run that. Oop. Then we go over here. Choose finance, gold, P&L by account. Open this. So now I can replace this with a much deeper markdown. Nice. Now, of course, again, there was that place where the markdown didn't break down correctly. So in that case, I just have to go in there and finish those pieces. So here's where the SQL code block starts, and here's where it ends. So we can fix that. There we go. Notes about calculation. I think there was like another code block, so let me just, yep, right over here. SQL. So knowing some Markdown, probably helpful if you're going to do these like more complicated pieces of documentation, but I think it's cool. You know, just oftentimes just like a little minor cleaning up of where all these code blocks begin and end. It's just like 3 backticks and then SQL, so that way it knows what language. Okay, and then I would like this as a bulleted list, so I will just make sure I put those bullets in front of here. Okay, this should probably be a heading. Let's do that. This should be a heading. There we go. That should be a bullet. Bullet. And this should be a heading. And then there should be a bunch of bullets. So let me just get all those. Well, this is technically another heading. So, you know, again, when you have like these breaks because of code blocks, you know, you just kind of have to go in there and just clean it up a little bit. But it's a lot easier than writing all this stuff from scratch. There we go. There we go. Okay, and that should do it. So let me hit save. And see, I have this nice documentation now. So I see I got this very nice detailed schema. I got the extra SQL. That's like the definition, notes about the calculation, some caveats, potential use cases, example queries, things I can do with this view, you know, and then, you know, other fields I might consider important. So again, this is a useful way to use. These are just useful ways you can use the integrated AI agent for different purposes. So hopefully this gave you some ideas of how you can use it. Really, again, ask it whatever you like, and experiment with it. You know, you could find all sorts of surprising use cases for it.